Dogen Zenji is the 13th century founder of this lineage of Zen, and there's a ongoing study at this Zen temple looking at his masterwork, the Shobogenzo, the treasury of the true Dharma I, which is a collection of a bunch of essays that are all about the same thing, and at the same time they're all completely different, and they all are Dharma I's. Each of these essays by this Zen founder are eyeballs through which to look at how things are and try to understand this life. And so we're up to this one essay called Shobogenzo Zenki, the treasury of the true Dharma I, the whole works. Or in this translation you have here, it's called full function Zenki. And so we're looking at this for these few days. And we talked about it a little bit yesterday, so to briefly review some things we spoke about to kind of introduce this essay. It's about the meaning of life. It talks about what life is. Dogen doesn't always use that term exactly, but he's saying life is like this. He's trying to describe his vision of what life is, because we wonder what this life is in the deepest sense. And the title is Zenki. So Zen means like whole or total or complete in this case. And Ki means like function or activity or machine, or like a weaving loom, or the workings, or the works. So one translation of Zenki is the whole works. Some of you might have met Tenshin Roshi, the teacher of me and Kanjin Roshi, and his name is Tenshin Zenki. So this is his Dharma name. Suzuki Roshi named him after this Dogen essay. It's kind of interesting. There might be a few other Dharma names that are named after Dogen essays, but not so many. A wonderful name. Zenki, the whole works. And when we translate it as the whole works, it's I think that's a great expression, because it's a kind of slang, or colloquial expression in English that really accurately translates Zenki, but it has like a feeling and multiple meanings, right? The whole works is like everything, right? What's going on here? Well, the whole works is happening here in this room. The whole works means like everything, right? But it also is a sentence, right? With a subject and a verb. The whole, the entirety, it works. Maybe they're not that different, these two meanings, but the whole works quite nicely. It has that kind of meaning too, right? The whole works. It means everything, and it means everything is working kind of smoothly. And again, we might feel like the whole isn't working that well, but it's working. And it's always working, and it's always been working, and it will always be working. That's how the whole works. And here in this essay is this translation that you have. Can people take these home? Or?
We have them out. Can they take them
take
home?
It afterwards?
Oh, sure.
You can take it home afterwards and to read it more fully if you'd like. This is a the latest translation of Dogen's Shobogenzo by the Japanese Soto school. So it's really like a lot of Zen scholars, like Dogen specialists, put this together over many, many years, and it just came out in print, and there's a copy of the whole thing here at the Zen Center if you want to read the whole thing in 8 volumes. Dogen is hard to understand for those who haven't encountered Dogen Zenji before. He doesn't just like try to make it easy for us because he's always pointing at the deepest meaning of Zen and life, and it's hard to say it too simply. If we say it too simply, that's too limited. So I think he's not trying to make it difficult, he's just trying to express something clearly, and it's hard to express the meaning of life in a really graspable way. So it's kind of ungraspable. So Zenki together means the whole works, full function, total dynamic activity. These are different translations. Total dynamism, undivided activity, complete function. This is what life is like. And we ended yesterday with this really wonderful central section in this essay about the meaning of life. So Dogen says, life, here it's like in quotes, life is like the time when someone's riding in a boat. To describe his understanding of this life. We have various ideas about what our life is, but here's Dogen's ideas about what life is. Life is like riding in a boat. This is the metaphor here. On this boat, although we might trim the sails, adjust the sails, we might steer with the tiller that moves the rudder, steering the boat, and we might, it might be a sailboat like that, or it might be a poling boat. He says, we use the pole, like this kind of boat that's in shallow water, and you can push off the bottom to move the boat. So in other words, we're riding in a boat, but we're not passively riding in a boat. And we know living this life is not a passive thing, and yet it's not just like we're completely controlling it either. I think that's the beauty of this metaphor, right? We're riding in a boat, we're interacting with the boat by adjusting the sails, we're steering, and we're pushing the pole that moves it. But meanwhile, the boat carries us, and we don't exist apart from the boat. That's the metaphor here. So, because the boat here includes, as he later says, all the elements of like the water and the wind and the current in the water, and how this boat was made. Like it might be a leaky boat, a fast boat, or a slow boat. So we don't have control over all that stuff. But still, it's not like we're passively just sitting back and letting the boat just take us. We're working with the boat. The boat here is all these elements of our life kind of outside of our control, we might say. Something like that. Can you get the image a little bit? Like we're interacting, we're doing various things on the boat, but the boat's giving us the ride. And furthermore, this is quite a statement, we make the boat by riding on it. So it's not really a boat until someone rides in it. And we're not really a boater until we're riding on a boat, right? We might identify with like, I'm a boater, I'm a sailor, but it's not really true, strictly speaking, until we're actually sailing or boating, right? At the time that we're doing that, then we're a boater or a sailor, because the boat makes us the sailor. So, and we make the boat by riding in it. Yesterday we were talking about, like, to bring it more like into the room, because this might not look like a boat to us. We're sitting on a chair or a cushion. Everybody's sitting on some kind of seat. So we make the seat what it is, and we're kind of interacting with the seat by choosing our cushions. I just asked to exchange my cushion before sitting down, so it's like, I'm not just going to passively accept that really rock-hard cushion. Interacting with the seat and kind of making it, I'm kind of personalizing it by choosing the cushion, but actually the seat's giving me a place to sit. So it goes both ways, right? And in the deepest sense, it's not really a seat until we sit on it. Like these folding chairs that you're sitting on are, if you stand up and you fold them up, it's still, I guess you could call it like a folding chair, but it's not really an inviting seat. It doesn't really function as a seat when it's folded up. And furthermore, if you were to like take the screws out of the seats and like disassemble it, like IKEA furniture that comes all kind of like separate pieces of wood, and the screws, and you put them together. If you disassemble these chairs and just kind of stack up the wood and make a little pile of screws and things, then I think it's fair to say at that time it's really not a chair, right? Some people might still say it's like it's a disassembled chair, or it's a chair kit or something. But it's really, that's not quite right to say that, right? I might say it's a potential chair, but it's not really a chair. But when you put the parts together, then we almost universally would call that collection of parts the chair. So if we start to investigate this, like Dogen says throughout this essay, thoroughly investigate these points. If we start to really examine how when we collect the parts of something, then it seems like a thing. And then we have a name, like a single name that we plaster onto the collection of parts. And then it's a very convenient thing. And there's no problem with this, except that then we believe that there's something more than just a collection of parts. We believe the chair is actual, some truly existing entity, like it exists from its own side, and we feel as if it's always been a chair, and it has like the nature of chairness. We feel this way. This is part of the Dharma. All the Buddhas teach. We might say, well, we know it's really not if we stop and think about it, but we act and we live in the world as if things exist, independent of their parts, for example. So really, it becomes a chair when we assemble the parts, and furthermore, when we use it, when we sit in it as a chair, we make it a chair. So nothing really exists in and of itself. It's just, it depends on its function to be that thing called a chair or a boat. So this boat, it's when we're in it and we're adjusting the sails and we're steering it and we're pulling it along, then we make it into a boat by riding on it, Dogen says. And we, as a person, we might say, well, really the person is making everything. But actually, it goes both ways, right? It's the boat is making us into this particular person called the boater that's adjusting the sails and so on. So everything is this interdependent working, and we can think of it as a kind of abstract thing, like everything we see in front of us is all interdependent, but we forget about ourself, our own body and mind is part of this activity, part of this total dynamic activity, part of this full function. And I think that's why this is a nice metaphor. The boat and all the parts of the boat are, or the boat is a label that we put on all these parts together, and then us being in it also makes it a boat, and the boat makes us at the same time. The whole thing is really inconceivably happening together. We make the boat by riding in it. And then Dogen says, we should make concentrated effort and study this very moment. And we might say, well, there's no boat here, but that's why we're talking about the chairs. It's always about this very moment. That's what the practice is always. How is this happening, this moment happening? We should make a concentrated effort to study this. At this very moment, there is nothing that's not the world of the boat. The heavens, the water, the sky, all have become the time of the boat, not the same as the time that is not the boat. So it's always about this present moment, not not the boat that we were thinking about a minute ago. In this moment, everything is included, and the next moment, everything is included, but in a completely different way. Therefore, life gives life to me. Life makes me into me. Remember, going back to the beginning of this paragraph. Life is like this whole situation, like riding in a boat. So to me, it seems like life is another synonym, really, for the whole works, for Zenki. And this big life, this interdependent, all-inclusive life, gives life to me, this individual person. Life makes me into me. Big life makes each of us into our unique person that we are. Yeah? Big life, full function, the whole works, makes each of us into our unique, individual, particular expression. And Dogen says, when I'm riding in the boat, my body and mind, my secondary and primary recompense, are all the function of the boat. And the notes say this. Primary and secondary recompense are like the karmic effects. The primary karmic result is this body and mind that we have. It's changing all the time, but our unique body and mind is like the primary result of all our past actions from this life and previous lives. And the secondary recompense is like the particular situation of today, with all its results arising from past karma and what I had for breakfast and so on. So all these karmic effects, primary and secondary effects of all our past actions, are all the function of the boat. We're talking about this moment, but this moment includes all the past conditions too. I think is what he's pointing out here. He says, all the whole earth, all empty space are all the function of the boat. So the entire universe is actually, when we look at it this direction, is the function of the boat. Usually we look at it the other direction. What we call this boat is the particular manifestation of all the functions in the whole universe coming together in this particular time and place to make this boat, and then ourself riding in it and adjusting the sails. But here it's the other way around. The whole earth and all of empty space are all the function of the boat, because it's dependent co-arising. If this boat was like slightly different, then the whole universe would be slightly different. I think that's the feeling of this sentence. The I that is alive, the life that is I, are like this. So each of us in our particularity is like this inconceivable inclusion of everything. So this is the feeling, this is like the meaning of life according to Dogen. So that's where we left off yesterday. And today is today. So forget about all that. This is right now we're thoroughly investigating this moment where Dogen says, Reverend Keichin Chan Master Yuan Wu said, alive, the manifestation of the full function. Dead, the manifestation of the full function. So this could also be translated as life is a manifestation of the whole works, and death is a manifestation of the whole works. That's a quote from Yuan Wu, who is most known as the one who put together what we call the Blue Cliff Record. It's a collection of koans that another teacher collected, and then Yuan Wu wrote this commentary on each of these 100 Zen stories, these koans. Very important. I recently heard maybe the introduction to the Blue Cliff Record or something said this is maybe the most important Zen text ever written. You could say that about a lot of things, but Blue Cliff Record is a great one. It's a classic. And so Yuan Wu, who lived in like the 9th century, 10th century, he wrote all these commentaries on these koans, and this is part of a commentary on a koan, but it's not in the Blue Cliff Record, because he has other writings also commenting on koans. And so this is in just the record of Yuan Wu. And so to tell you the story that he's commenting on here, because Dogen doesn't tell it. This is how Zen is. This is Yuan Wu's maybe 10th or even 11th century. He's commenting on these older Zen stories from the Tang Dynasty. That's how these koan commentators do their thing. So this is a story about Dao Wu and his attendant Jian Yuan. And they went to make a condolence call. So they went to, as Zen teachers still do in modern Japan and America sometimes, one of the congregation had just died, so they called the Zen teacher to come and, it doesn't say, but probably to do some chanting, like a little memorial service at the home of the this family who is living near the temple of Dao Wu. They went to make a condolence call. That's what it means. So Yuan Wu and his attendant went, and the attendant kind of, we might say, maybe this wasn't so appropriate, but these Zen people, you know the story. He went and they went up, maybe it's when the people of the family were getting a meal ready and they weren't around. Could imagine like that. He went up to the coffin of the deceased family member and kind of knocked on it and asked his teacher, alive or dead? That's how the Zen ancestors were always trying to investigate the great matter. They were trying to thoroughly understand what's going on here. Yes, we have some rituals to do here, but what is this matter of life and death? And what's going on here? What is actually life? What is death? We came here because this is kind of a big thing for people when someone they love dies. So that's why they called us Zen people. So we should know about this. So the student's asking the teacher, in case the family comes in and asks me about this, actually I'm not so clear about this issue. What is a life and death and this corpse in the coffin? Why do we say that it's dead? And why do we say that you, teacher, are alive? This is the spirit, I think. What's that dividing line between life and death? Of course, you cannot say the doctors can, determine that dividing line. But in Zen, we don't just go with an obvious dividing line. We're like, what is the deeper meaning of life and death? So the attendant knocks on the coffin. Alive or dead, teacher? And teacher Yuan Dawu says, I won't say alive, and I won't say dead. He doesn't want to get into limiting the situation. He could say, don't you see, it's a dead person, that's why we came here. And, oh, okay. No, that's too simple. It bypasses the thorough investigation of this matter. Alive or dead, teacher? And the teacher says, I won't say alive, I won't say dead. And the attendant says, why won't you say? And Dawu says, I won't say, I won't say. And then, I'm imagining, then the family comes in with some food and they do some chanting. And then Dawu and his attendant start their trip back home. And the attendant's still kind of working this. And when they're halfway back to the temple, the attendant, Yan Yuan, says, please, teacher, tell me now. If you don't tell me, I'll hit you. A little bit aggressive, but maybe these stories get recorded because it's he's so passionate about trying to understand what is this matter of life and death. Please, and also he trusts the teacher so much that you must know. Please tell me. And the teacher says, you can hit me if you want, but I won't say. So that's how the story is recorded in this record of Yuan Wu. But I think there's longer versions of the story where the attendant hits him, and maybe then gets kicked out of the temple or something for hitting the teacher. Can't remember the extended version.
Yes.
Is that yes. Very good. In this version, it just ends with, you can hit me if you want, but I won't say. I'm not going to give you some easy answer, some dualistic answer, alive or dead, that you can put in your box and take home. So that's the story, one of the great Zen stories about life and death. And then Yuan Wu, in his record, quotes that story and then offers this commentary. He says, how can one climb up silver mountains and iron walls? So here the image, I think, is a poetic image about this question of life and death is it's like an immense silver mountain and an iron wall. How can we scale this silver mountain and iron wall of this koan? of this question, alive or dead. He continues, Yuan-Wu continues, tonight this mountain monk will offer a flower on the golden brocade. A poetic way of saying, I'm going to offer a flower to the brocade of flowers, which is a little bit like, also in Zen they say like adding frost to snow. Kind of like the story is already complete. This golden brocade is already beautiful, but I'm going to add another flower with my saying. So, how can one climb up the silver mountains and iron walls? Now this mountain monk will, place a flower on the golden brocade that's already complete with my words. I will open this barrier and comment on this koan. And then he says, his commentary is, life is a manifestation of the whole works. Death is a manifestation of the whole works. And that's what Dogen is quoting here. And Yuan Wu's poem continues, again and again, I won't say, within this realm, with neither front nor back, we must accept it here and now. Or maybe we could translate it as, within this realm, which is neither facing the issue or turning away from the issue, we must just accept it, the issue of life and death, here and now. Without a hair's breadth of difference, life and death fill boundless empty space and are bits and pieces of straightforward mind. So that's Yuan Wu's Zen poem commenting on alive or dead, I won't say. He doesn't clarify it very much, we might feel, because it's like scaling silver mountains and iron walls. But maybe the most important thing he said in this poem about this condolence call story is that life is a manifestation of the whole works, and death is a manifestation of the whole works. In Japanese, Zenki Gen. Some of you might know the Genjo Koan of Dogen is another essay called The Actualization of the Fundamental Point. And as I mentioned yesterday, Dogen really likes this term Genjo. It means like actualization, manifestation, realization. And Gen, in this case, is the Gen of this Genjo. Here it's Zenki Gen, manifestation of the whole works. Life is a manifestation, an expression, an actualization of this total dynamic function. And I think here we might understand this as this particular life, each of our particular lives, is a unique manifestation of the whole works. And death, each particular death, is a unique manifestation of the whole works. And so it's like life here is like life that's the manifestation of the whole works. It's like riding in a boat. It's really continuing this theme, right? This issue, this situation of riding in a boat is like this total dynamic function that includes our human efforts and everything else around us simultaneously and equally. And now he's bringing up death is also like this. Life is like this, but death is like this. And we feel as if our life, sometimes we feel, maybe often, we feel like our life is not just this unique manifestation of the whole works. We feel like it's very limited. Our life becomes claustrophobic. We feel like it's just me alone in this world of issues I have to deal with, and I have to figure it out and do it. This is when we forget that life's a manifestation of the whole works. We feel this contraction into what we call like a separate self. It's my life and I have to figure it out. And why isn't anybody helping me? Whereas thoroughly investigating life as a manifestation of the whole works is more like, actually everybody's helping me all the time. I haven't really noticed it until I thoroughly investigate. But everything is offering these currents that are carrying this life along in a way that I would never have expected. We can all say that, I think, about our life in the moment, right? Who would have expected it would be like this moment? But here it is. And did we make it this way? Well, we meaning like this body and mind, our particular person. We did. This body and mind and our thoughts and our intentions had something to do with it, but just like steering the boat, but a kind of a small part. Really, many other conditions that we often take for granted brought us to this unique moment. So this is kind of expanding our idea of the meaning of life. It's not so limited as we often feel. And then death, why bring up death here? Because it's a big deal for us. So I can imagine that as we approach death, we might also get caught in this feeling of like, wow, my life has been this thing, and like it's all coming to a culmination and an end very soon. And it's also just me and my death. Everybody else is going to go on living around here, but I'm going to die. We can feel I imagine we might start to feel very limited at such a time. But our unique individual death is also a manifestation of the whole works. Everything's included, and of course, like our life ripples out and touches many beings, our death ripples out and touches many beings, and then then the whole works continues. It never began at a specific time, and it will never end at a specific time. The whole works is this timeless flow. And then there's these unique experiences within that we call my life and my death, your life and your death. So Dogen quotes Yuan Wu, life is the manifestation of the whole works, death is the manifestation of the whole works. Or, this translation says, alive, the manifestation of the full function, dead, the manifestation of the full function. And then Dogen says, once again, we should investigate and clarify these words. Like, spend some time with them. We're doing that now, but you can do this the rest of our life. To investigate, he's going to explain what investigate means here. To investigate means that the principle of life is the manifestation of the whole works, while it may, regardless of its beginning or end, be all the whole earth and all empty space, this not only does not obstruct life is the manifestation of the whole works, it also does not obstruct death is the manifestation of the whole works. How's that for a long sentence? Wow. It's hard to follow it. This is how Dogen is, right? That's why he says we have to thoroughly investigate this. It's why you can take these home if you want, these translations, and look at it again. I'll read it again. We should investigate and clarify these words. To investigate means that the principle of alive, the manifestation of the full function, while it may, regardless of its beginning or end, be the whole earth and all empty space, this does not only not obstruct life is the manifestation of the whole works, it also doesn't obstruct death is the manifestation of the whole works. So this statement, life is the manifestation of the whole works, doesn't obstruct life is the manifestation of the whole works, and it also doesn't obstruct death is the manifestation of the whole works. We might hear this, we can hear this in many ways. We could thoroughly investigate any one of these sentences for a long time. But we might hear it as like our idea that we now maybe are starting to form of life is the manifestation of the whole works. Our idea of that doesn't obstruct the actual life as the manifestation of the whole works. And it also doesn't obstruct death as the manifestation of the whole works. Or this present situation does not obstruct this present situation. And it also doesn't obstruct some other situation. So it's really, I think it's a meditation on non-obstruction. Nothing's being blocked. And then he similarly says, when it is, death is the manifestation of the whole works. Well, it may be that the whole earth and empty space, this not only doesn't obstruct death is the manifestation of the whole works, it also doesn't obstruct life is the manifestation of the whole works. So it's the same sentence, kind of reversed. Therefore, this is maybe the kind of summary. What's he talking about? Therefore, life does not obstruct death, death does not obstruct life. That's a little more straightforward. All the whole earth and all empty space are both in life and in death. So we can hear this, I think, is playing with life as like our individual, personal, limited life, and also this big life that is the manifest, that is like riding in a boat, that it includes the boat and the sky and the water. And either way, either big life or little life, it doesn't obstruct death, and death doesn't obstruct life. I think this is just more and more meditation on this interdependence of everything and inclusiveness of everything, and that nothing is obstructing anything else. And the whole earth and all empty space are both in life and in death. This non-obstruction. So some people say this essay called Zenki is maybe influenced by the flower ornament teachings. Some of you might have been here when Tenshin Zenki, the whole works, was teaching the Avatam Saka Sutra recently, or this year. The Flower Ornament Sutra, there's a school based on that, a school of practice and understanding in China, called the Flower Ornament School, Hua Yan. And at least Thomas Cleary, the translator, says, this essay, Zenki, is particularly Dogen's kind of flower ornament expression. And I think that this this non-obstruction part is particularly kind of the style of the flower ornament school. They talk about the ultimate doesn't obstruct the relative doesn't obstruct the ultimate, and also within the interdependence of all the relative phenomena, they don't obstruct each other. So there's all these types of non-obstruction in the flower ornament teachings. And here, life doesn't obstruct death, and death doesn't obstruct life. So these are just, some reflections, some random thoughts about this essay of Dogen. We can't really explain it because it's like silver mountains and iron walls, but maybe by exploring it a little bit together this morning, you get a sort of feeling of what this is about. And again, I think that if you want to look at this more in the future, I think the paragraph about riding in a boat is really like the centerpiece of this essay. The way that our life is made by everything around us, and our life makes everything around us, and every moment is like this situation. Our life doesn't obstruct the rest of the universe, and the rest of the universe doesn't obstruct us, even when we feel obstructed by the universe or parts of it. And also just the title, Zenki, the whole works, full function, total dynamic working, is a great description of how it is to sit on the seats that we're sitting on right now, making these seats while they make us into sitters. You might think that you're like Zen practitioners, but at the time that you're not practicing Zen, you're not a Zen practitioner. Neither am I. What are we then? Well, whatever we're doing, that's what we are. Zen could include a lot of activities, though. So we can talk about this more if you'd like to come in for question and answer after a little bit. We can discuss it some, because I can't make this up myself. I need your help, please, to understand, to thoroughly investigate the whole works. I definitely need your help. Thank you.